All right, everyone. So this is my first YouTube interview. Before I used to be interviewed, and now I'm the interviewee, I think. I don't know if that's a word.
Yay.
So here we have Tia Reid. Tia Reid is my very, 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 very good friend. She is a metabolic health practitioner. She is a coach practitioner, both through Nutrition Network, and she is a certified sugar addiction specialist and a certified holistic medicine or certified in holistic medicine for addiction. So she has a few certifications ahead of me. And then she convinced me to also go the route coach practitioner and metabolic health practitioner. Awesome. So, Tia, tell us about your story.
Okay. Well, it's really long. I hope we get it all in. But the beliefs that were instilled in me in the medical community, were really bad. Like I was had been told that I'd never get off an insulin pump. I was on over 20 medications and an insulin pump. Was told I'd never get off blood pressure medicines or anything like that. And I was just sick and tired. And before I found a ketogenic lifestyle, I was sick, tired, irritated, low energy, brain fog. I just didn't want to go anywhere. I was depressed. And that was not normal for me. My whole life, I'd been kind of energetic and, kind of like a social butterfly. And that all
You
went
got an award
away.
for that even, right?
Yeah, that was so much fun. Um, anyway, I started out with gestational diabetes. I feel like that's where it started, with my second pregnancy. I also had a LEAP procedure done from cells in my cervix, abnormal cells in my cervix before that, my first pregnancy. So I didn't even know if I'd be able to get pregnant. But everything was fine, thank goodness. And then one thing leads to another, next thing you know, they did tell me that within 10 years, I could have full-blown type 2 diabetes, but no one ever showed me how to avoid that or what to do to avoid that. And I just went, I had the baby, which was 11 pounds, and he was big. Oh gosh, I love him. And then things started happening. I started to gain some weight, hypertension happened. Next thing you know, I have fatty liver, non-alcoholic fatty liver. And I was told it was just, a fatty tissue and for me not to worry about it. It's very common and a lot of people have it. So, I trusted my doctor. I never did anything about it. Next thing you know, I've had acute pancreatitis. I was in the hospital with a TPN bag. That was very painful. I had a gallbladder removed from gallstones in there. And then I had trouble with my bladder and ended up having a bladder sling put in under suggestion of another doctor. Some breast lumps that were surgically removed. I mean, it's just incredible. One thing after another, a kidney stent. And after fatty liver, it wasn't long that I had type 2 diabetes, full-blown type 2 diabetes, with insulin pump titration. So now I'm wearing an insulin pump. I've gained so much weight. It ended up at my highest in between 250 and 260, kind of going back and forth. I'm about 5'5". But the next thing you know, I'm just so low energy. I just couldn't figure out what was going on. Well, come to find out I had Cushing's disease. So I went to a specialist for that in St. Louis. And he found a tumor in my adrenal gland that needed to be taken out. So it had grown large over the years. I think someone had actually mentioned it before, but years ago, but it wasn't big enough, or they didn't think it was worth looking into. I'm not for sure. Anyway, we ended up having to take my whole right adrenal gland out. So now, before I was in fight or flight all the time, nonstop. I wore a bracelet. I always had a dexamethasone shot with me in case I would be in an accident or an illness, so that it would give me fight or flight because I needed cortisone. Ended up being put on like 60 milligrams of cortisone for the longest time, like dexamethasone type stuff and then we tried to slowly get me off of that, but it just, my core, I just wasn't making any then. I had went from making too much to not making any. So that was a really big deal. And then I ended up with 3 grapefruit-sized tumors in my uterus and had to have a hysterectomy. And that was so scary because I had to go to a cancer specialist for that because he really did. He said, Tia, I think we're going to have to go straight from there to having some chemo done. But when they opened me up and got him out, they were not. Praise, I was like so thankful that I was
Yeah.
okay. And then, being so tired and I was snoring so loud, we had a sleep study done and I had severe restless leg syndrome, which my husband used to make fun of me because he said I would like, if I slept on my belly, my legs would like kick around and make like a tent. But we went ahead and got the CPAP and that was good. I started to sleep a little bit better. But I also had a large kidney stone that got stuck in my ureter and it caused me to go septic. My organs started to shut down. They had to chopper me to St. Louis for that. And then after that kidney stone, it was like my acid reflux was incredible. Like I felt like just water alone gave me acid reflux.
Mhm.
And I was in chronic pain for so long. So there you go. I'm on, Vicodin as needed every 4 hours for years. I, was on that too. Let me just tell you a little bit of the medications I was on. I have to write them down because there's so many of them. And
It's
there's
more than
some that
this.
yeah, and there's some that I don't even remember that I know that I started and then got off of. But I was on the insulin pump, 180 to 200 units a day as needed. It
Oh,
was,
wow.
I give myself a bolus if I was told I could eat anything in moderation. So I would eat whatever I wanted and to
Yes.
eat 46 grams of carbs, 3 meals a day, and 15 grams of snacks twice a day, and try not to go 4 hours without eating. So my
To
family
keep
would be
blood
like,
sugar
"Oh,
stable, right?
yeah." It was just incredible. But anyway, I was on allopurinol for for uric acid because my uric acid was so high. Nexium, metapolo tartrate, 200 milligrams twice a day, lisinopril, 40 milligrams, Welcol, 125 milligrams, Tricor, 145, Lavazza, Previstatin, and then hydrocortisone, prednisone products for my adrenal, dexamethasone shot if needed, glycate with each meal. And then I was so depressed. So they started me on Cymbalta and worked my way up to the most amount you could have on Cymbalta and still needed something. So Wellbutrin, 300 milligrams of Wellbutrin on top of that. And then, the Vicodin or the Norco as needed for pain. And at one point, my pancreas just couldn't metabolize any food. So I went to a gastroenterologist and was put on like 20 lipase pills a day. It's just nuts that, you look up my name in the dictionary, it's like polypharmacy. And
That sounds like
I
it. It almost sounds like if they have a patient model, that would be you. Because
yeah,
what they did to you and all those medications, all those side effects, that's incredible.
they were keeping me sick. They was keeping me diabetic and sick. A lot of these medications kept my blood sugar high. Um,
Yeah, like
so
Wellbutrin, I think, does that. It's the
yeah,
statin.
yeah. And I was going to a Center for Advanced Medicine for years, and diabetic educators that were telling me to eat, and that it was okay to eat, whatever I wanted in moderation.
Yeah, we're not
So
trained in nutrition, so that's a problem.
yeah,
I
yeah.
mean,
I just
those who are
never
trained in
agreed.
nutrition probably don't do much better, but doctors
Yeah.
definitely are not.
And then I went to see my cousin in New Mexico, and he has a pharmacy background. He started out there, he's not anymore, but he's like, wow, he couldn't believe how much I deteriorated. He picks me up and I've got like a bag full of medicine and a CPAP and a insulin pump.
Wow.
And I was winded. I couldn't even walk very far. I tried to walk very far. I just wanted to sit down. So
So how long
he's like,
ago was that?
you got to do something. Well, I guess that was in 2017 when I went to visit him, when I went to visit. And I knew there was something going on. I knew I was sick, but I just had been basically told that that was the cards I was dealt, and I just have to deal with the symptoms with medication.
Your
And
genes.
no one ever said, hey, you know, let's look at your eating plan. Let's look and see what you're eating every day. Let's, walk you through it. I don't know, I was just so very addicted to food. And I used it for comfort, for stress management. Not only that, but we owned a restaurant for 36 years, a family style restaurant that was very good in our community. And so, we would make nice, tasty desserts and I would eat them every day.
Yeah, you had to
Other
try
people,
them.
why couldn't I? I eventually ended up becoming the director of nutritional services at our local hospital, of all things. And it was very hard for me. That was 15 years. And I loved the people I worked with. I loved the people I worked with. But it was just really hard to see, uh, the diabetic educator saying it's okay for someone that's coming in, maybe possibly that is going to get their leg amputated, that it's okay to eat, you know,
Cookies in
fruit and
moderation.
pancakes with syrup and yeah.
Yeah, that
Yeah.
is heartbreaking. So while you were working there, you then discovered keto. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, when my cousin noticed how sick I was, he's like, you need to, I've heard of this low carb stuff and people are having really good results with it. Let's find a low carb doctor for you and see what happens. Well, on my very first visit with a low carb doctor, he says, Tia, I think you have a carb addiction. I mean, I know you have a carb addiction and I can help you. Um, but you have to do the work. I can't do it for you.
Yep.
And, at that point, I was so sick, and my husband had seen me try everything. And he's like, let's do it. Let's do it. And then I felt relief. I mean, who feels relief when somebody tells you you're an addict? But I felt relief because somebody had diagnosed me and I could do something about it. I could battle it. Other people had battled addictions and won. I have alcoholics in my family and they're fine because they know what to do. They've been,
Yep.
shown the way. So anyway, that's how it started. And then I felt so passionate about it and found the Society of Metabolic Health Practitioners and wanted my accreditation really bad. So uh, found that there was a way through Nutrition Network and
Yeah,
took the
but let's
course.
go back first because you
Okay.
discovered
Yeah.
keto and you were
Yeah.
excited because he told you you might be a sugar addict.
Hmm.
And that diagnosis basically told you you are not crazy. Like
I'm not broken.
you are not
Yeah.
broken, but there's actually something like a diagnosis that you can work on.
Yeah.
What did you do first when you started keto? Like what did you change? How did you approach it?
Okay. Well, that's a good question. Thanks for coming back to that because he also told me that he said, I see you have non-alcoholic fatty liver. Okay. So he tested to make sure that that was the facts. We had a scan done to make sure. And he said, let's battle that first. And we can get rid of that if you eliminate the sugary drinks first is the worst thing you could ever be doing for that. So, I took tiny steps. I eliminated all sugary drinks and then started out with the healthy fats. We eliminated all the seed oils and all that kind of stuff from our cabinets and started putting bacon grease and using bacon grease like grandma did with a little bacon tin. I couldn't believe it. Real butter
And it's so
Um,
delicious. It tastes much better too.
yeah, yeah, and then just eating meat and steamed vegetables, and not snacking. That was a big deal, not to snack anymore so that I could get my blood sugar numbers down. And then he had me start wearing a CGM, which was another great tool for me to help me figure out what foods did in my body, um, to battle it. Um, but that's how we started. We started with that. And I sat down with my family and told them, hey, you know, I am sick and I have an addiction and I need your help. Same as heroin to a drug addict or alcohol to an alcoholic. I need your help. And everybody was very, we all hugged. We were like, we can do this. Let's clean out the cabinets. We'll clean out all the, the crap in the house. And we'll help. And that helped, and the kids still have their carb stuff, but they have safes in their rooms.
Yeah.
They can buy their stuff, but I'm not gonna buy it anymore. Like I'm not gonna buy the bread. I'm not gonna buy the chips or the soda pop. Um, so hopefully I'm a good example for them, but they're not totally all ready.
They're,
Oh, I had
how old were they
debilitated.
when you started this?
Oh, okay. So well, they were older, so that wasn't
So
that
not kitty
long
kids,
ago,
small kids.
2017. Yeah, are not small. So, um, because Emily's 33. Yeah, so yeah. But um, oh, and I'm going to be a grandma. I'm really excited.
Ooh, when?
So now I'm going to be able to play with my grandchildren, I was worried that I wouldn't even see them, or maybe that I would never see my kids get married, or possibly lose a leg or my vision, because every time I went to the eye doctor, my vision changed. I had like 7 prescriptions. Every day was kind of a new day with my vision. That was scary too.
So
So
you
the
changed
ketogenic
like one
life,
thing at a time. You left out the sugary drinks first. I'm guessing you also left out juice, which
yes.
most
Oh,
people still think juice is, well, it's sweet, but it's healthy. It's not.
yeah. And I
And
used to drink great big blasts of, I loved apple juice and grape juice. So I always went for those.
how about
Yeah.
smoothies?
Oh, yeah. I do that too. But my fatty liver went away within 3 months.
Oh, that's amazing. That is
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. We
What
did
did the
blood
doctor
tests.
say when they saw that? Did you
They just
tell
thought I
them you
was
were doing keto?
yeah, they didn't, nobody was for it, of course. They didn't think it was the right thing to be doing. Um, they thought that I was just like, I don't know, what do you say, a flamingo, or it was just an unusual case. But then others saw my journey and saw, wow, look at the weight loss. What are you doing? And then would ask me for advice, and I would tell them too. So it's it's a beautiful thing to help people, as you know. Um,
Yes. Did you ever get a reaction where they said, I can never do that. I could never do that. Or you shouldn't be doing that because it's dangerous.
oh yeah, even like dietitians had told me that I shouldn't be doing that, that I needed carbohydrates, like it was a nutrient that we had to have.
Yeah, obviously not. How
Yeah,
many
yeah.
carbs do you eat in a day?
Oh gosh, I was eating a lot, evidently. I never even wrote it all down. In the beginning when I went, it's been too long, but when I went to the Center for Advanced Medicine, I would turn in some food logs and they would figure out what I needed to bolus and stuff for me. So I didn't even have to learn how to do it, but they set up the meter and, gave me the insulin. And then if I ate something off plan or it went off, I just had to figure out what dosage to give myself. And then the 50 units of Lantus at night. Um,
In
and
addition to the pump.
yeah, in addition to the pump, yeah,
Wow.
yeah. And knowing what I know now, that insulin's a fat storage hormone, um, and it was making me sicker. Um, I just want to spread the healing word that if you're type 2 diabetic, that it doesn't have to be progressive, like I had been told.
You were like on 260 units, you said?
Yeah,
250? And
yeah,
how many units are you on now?
none. It's just
It's
crazy, isn't it?
chronic progressive my bleep.
Yeah, yeah. I'll tell you what is chronic and progressive though is sugar addiction. If you
Yes,
keep eating, you're just gonna keep
addiction
getting,
is a
and
chronic
if I,
disease.
and that's why I feel like it's, um, I have that fear factor. If I start eating that way again, it's all gonna come back. So
Yeah,
that,
and it's not just a fear, it absolutely will. So,
yeah, I think really focus on one meal at a time. That's what I did too. I focused on one meal at a time. And if I messed up, I didn't look back. So every day's a new day to start again. So I would wake up in the morning, I'd say, what am I going to do today? Because it affected my life, biologically, psychologically,
yeah.
spiritually, financially, all the
Oh, yeah.
doctors' costs and all that stuff. Um, and then I started to see once I started losing weight and the medications were being discontinued. Um, wow, I could see all the non-scale victories even before my weight started to come off. And I really didn't go to the doctor to lose weight. I wanted to get off all the medications that I knew were making me sick. Um, but my clothes started fitting looser and, my sleep improved and I don't wear a CPAP anymore. Um, I do snore a little bit still, but I use the sleep tape, but it's not so bad as it could be worse. But my energy levels, and I've heard you talk about this too, my brain fog lifted. That was one of the first things that like, wow, I have some energy. I might go walk down the lane. I hadn't walked down
Yep.
the lane for years.
It's
Oh,
interesting that people who are obese are expected to eat less and move more, and
yeah,
they store so much fat, and yet they don't have the energy to move. All that
yeah,
stored energy, but they can't access it, and that's hard for people who never had a weight problem to see. They think, "Oh, just move." It doesn't work that way.
no.
But as
And
you lost weight, you did more, like walking. I mean, I've seen
yeah,
you at conferences, and I would have never guessed that you were obese at one point. It just never occurred to me. And
yeah, I was so sick. Um, my body was just full of inflammation. And I don't bust my butt or anything. I like to walk. At one time, I did try to battle my weight with running, and I think I hurt myself even more doing that. My
yes.
daughter was a runner, so I would try to run with her. And we live 7 miles from town, and I would train for half marathons and run into town. And my ankles and my knees, they just felt, and we would carb load. We would carb load before a run. Um, I was actually a high school assistant track coach, and we would carb load the kids before running.
Oh, yeah, I
I know
know.
different
They do it
now.
everywhere.
Yeah, I know differently now. And, in the beginning too, I did use replacement foods too. I know you've talked about that before. I use replacement foods too, like, to get me through, but I hardly use them today ever. Yeah. I try to stick with nothing from a box or a bag. Um, Eat real whole foods, and steamed vegetables or a garnish of a vegetable. I really like to eat meat.
So where would you say is your carb count right now? How many carbs do you eat per day?
I'm probably I try to stay under 30 grams of carbs a day because I feel the best on that. And sometimes I might go through a whole week or a month of just carnivore and then, put some veg in, or if we're out at a social event, I'd eat some vegetables with the meat that's there. But, or if we're out at to dinner somewhere, which I don't even like to go to dinner anymore. I love the way we cook at home.
I noticed that
Um,
too. It just doesn't taste as good
no,
elsewhere.
it
It's
doesn't. And my husband had RA really bad, and he noticed, you know, he saw my journey, and he also has had a really good luck with this way of eating with his RA, and he had some oxalate trouble. So he went to Sally Norton actually to a thing with her and eliminated some stuff from oxalates. And now he feels great and hasn't had any flare ups, you know, like almonds. And he was eating a lot of spinach and asparagus and almonds and stuff like that.
yeah, I know spinach is like the number one thing, and almonds that you will eat
Yeah,
on
he was eating
carnivore
a
when you
lot of that,
start
thinking
out.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's interesting.
the
Um,
non-scale victories were my favorite. I don't like that little box that much to step on it.
yeah, your non-scale victories were looser fitting clothes and more energy, less brain fog.
Mhm. Yeah.
Did you notice anything where you would say, "Oh wow, this is a non-scale victory"?
Oh, I mean, just being able to walk and go places and feel good is my, you know, improved skin. I had really dry, itchy skin, and it's real soft now. Which is really, and managing my cravings. My cravings are not gone. I think this way of eating helps you manage your hunger and your cravings and your feelings of deprivation and, you know, stress management. You know, I was on two different drugs for depression, and I'm no longer on those. And Cymbalta was one of the hardest to get off of for me. I know some people don't have trouble, but I
Mhm.
even experimented with taking some of the beads out. I didn't know how many was coming out when I do it, but but just to, you know, to get off of it, it was horrible.
So to
Yeah.
lose the bulk of your weight, how long did it take about?
I felt like it was really fast in the beginning and then it was slow at the
I know.
end. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, which was good because once the weight came off, I did want to exercise a little bit. You know, I did want
Mhm.
to get out and do things, because I felt better. But then I had to really think, first of all, you know, some of the family, it's hard that family, or if your family's not on board, but you really do have to think, you know, no one has to understand what you're doing as long as you're starting to feel better. And then with some of the training that we've had, you know, that I learned that the basis of all habits are just thoughts, and they're like clouds in the sky, and you can let them pass by. Um, you know, you can let them pass. They only last as long as you think them. I love that from Tracy. Went from
Mhm.
Tracy Mc. Yeah. So your thoughts can't make you do anything, but I had a lot of thoughts, you know, and had to get rid of that stinking thinking, and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I think it's kind of cool because your brain has wonderful, what do you call it, plasticity, where it can make new pathways. So it's like a muscle. And the longer and more you stay consistent, the easier it becomes. What's that quote I like from Georgia Edie? The most powerful way to change brain chemistry is through food because that is where the brain chemicals come from. I love that.
You are what you eat.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, not green when you eat vegetables, but the
Yeah,
nutrients. The
I'm
nutrients
not a
that
piece of broccoli.
yeah, imagine that. So,
Yeah.
you mentioned, Tracy. What did you learn from her? Like, what kind of training was that?
Oh, she's an insight coach. So, I mean, if anybody out there's uh what is interested in that, just she has a wonderful book called You Have Today, and it's 100 days of insights, and it's wonderful. You know, she helped me focus on the present. You know, you can't change anything in the past. We can only learn from it.
Mhm.
And every day is a new day. And again, if you continue to do what you're doing, you're always going to get what you've always got. So why not change now if you know it's going to help you and not fear the change, right?
Change is scary.
Yeah, it's scary, and it is scary, and you have to expect it to happen. You have to expect to be uncomfortable when you're doing this new lifestyle, this new way of eating. You have to expect that there's going to be your brain's going to play some tricks on you,
Mhm.
but you're not your thoughts. They can't make you eat anything. They can't make you do anything. So I like the power of the pause. I did a lot of that. Like, one of my doctors, always have told me, dessert is like an emotional event. It's just an emotional event. Get up and do something instead. So that's what we started doing after supper. Instead of the dessert we used to eat, we would go take a walk and talk, you know,
Mhm.
and then we became closer family, which was kind of cool, and looked forward to the walks afterwards.
Instead of looking forward to the desserts.
Yeah. Yeah, I knew they weren't going to make me feel good. They're going to make my numbers go up.
This is kind of
And
like what I like to do too. If I do feel like I have to have this now, I'm just gonna
mhm,
pause and think, all right, how's this bite gonna make you feel in 5 minutes?
yeah,
So then you already
that-
swallowed it. That
yeah,
sensation's gone, but then the guilt comes. So
mm,
just reflecting on that, pausing, how I'm gonna feel in 5 minutes, in an hour, and tomorrow, am I gonna regret that decision? And
yeah.
if you
Is it worth
remove
it?
yourself from that immediate action, just grabbing and putting it into your mouth, that's all you need. That's the pause.
Yeah. And sometimes just that pause, that one little pause, well, your thoughts about going to do whatever you're going to do goes away. You're like, I
That's
don't
right.
even, and half the time that bite that you really want, you taste it and it only lasts for a few minutes. So it's
Even
not like it
hunger
lasts very
pangs,
long.
if you feel
Yeah.
like hungry and then, okay, I need to eat something right now. And then you get distracted because something comes up and then you forget about the hunger. And then an hour
Yeah.
later, you think, oh, I should have eaten something.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of this lifestyle. You just don't have to eat when it's not convenient. You can eat anytime. S-
Anytime at all.
So you did OMAD. Did you just jump right into that or did you build up to that?
Oh man, no. I had a hard time fasting in the beginning, so that took me a little bit
Oh, we maybe have
before
to
I
say
could.
what OMAD is. It's one meal a day. So it's
Yeah.
basically 24 hours of fasting, one meal, or like 23, one maybe.
Yeah. Well, if you think about it though, you're sleeping like half of that time, right? I mean, at least hopefully 8 hours
Eight
of it.
hours, yeah.
Yeah. And if you go like Sunday from Sunday dinner to the next day dinner, and you keep yourself busy, uh, it's not too bad. But I did have to work up to it. My favorite is just doing a 16 or an 18-hour fast. I feel good doing that. So it was amazing that I did when I found out that breakfast wasn't the most important meal of the day
Mhm.
because I thought I would die without it or something.
That's a marketing ploy. I mean, if you
Yeah,
sleep in and skip breakfast because of that, you're not dying.
yeah. And most of the time I just eat the breakfast at noon or 1 anyway.
And
You
the
can
first
still have
coffee.
breakfast food. Yeah, yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
it's breaking the fast. That's the name.
yeah.
But you don't
I
have to
like
have it
that.
like right when you get up. You should
Yeah.
actually let your body get up and not disrupt it with breakfast and certainly not with coffee right when you get up.
Yeah, I felt I had like that dawn effect for a really long time. Sometimes it is weird. It's kind of like an N1 experiment, I think, for a lot of people. Like sometimes eating the breakfast helps people with high cortisol levels in the morning with their blood sugar go down, and some don't. So it's kind of like an experiment, I think. Some people can fast backwards, breakfast and lunch and no dinner. But I like the lunch and dinner and no breakfast.
Yeah, I don't like, I mean, I would be sleeping on an empty stomach anyway, because if I eat
Yeah.
at 6 and go to bed at, oh, I go to bed late. So my stomach is empty then anyway, but I don't feel like I have an empty stomach. I think if I ate lunch last, I would feel like I had an empty stomach. I don't know.
Yeah.
Depends
Yeah.
if
And I
I eat.
definitely don't, I like to stop eating at least 3 or 4 hours before I go to bed.
Oh, you want to do that with acid reflux anyway. So did that
Yeah.
go away?
Yeah. Yeah. It was magical. You know, I don't know. A lot of people, I try in the beginning, I also like in between meals, sometimes I would take some L-glutamine. Maybe I would eat a teaspoon of coconut oil to get me through to my next meal.
Like a crutch,
Yeah, and then
but not
salt.
really a meal. It's just,
Right.
mhm,
Yeah. Just a little bit of fat to get me through to the next meal.
mhm.
And it was interesting for me to find out that, fat doesn't make you fat. Dietary fat doesn't make you fat.
Yeah. Like when I said
Yeah.
earlier, you are what you eat. No, that is
Yeah.
not true for fat. I mean, your
Yeah.
energy has to come from somewhere. You cannot just eat protein, can hardly be
Yeah.
used as energy. So it's carbs or fat. And
Oh my
most
gosh.
Americans probably eat both.
One thing I did that was really eye-opening was I did once, and I wish I still had the paper on it, was just kind of like write down everything I ate normally, and then the carb count behind it, and then totaled out the number of carbs, grams of carbs at the end of the day, and so divided it by 4, because there's help me out here, there's 4
4
grams
calories per gram
yeah.
of
So anyway, your
carbs.
body only needs
4,
the one.
yeah.
Right. So anyway, divided it by 4, and that's how many teaspoons of sugar you're eating in your whole day, and you'd be surprised. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it. Yeah.
I think most people don't know that bread is basically sugar. Fruit
Yeah.
is sugar.
Nature
I
sugar.
was gonna say Dr. Fructose, no, that's his handle on
Yeah.
Twitter. Dr.
Yeah.
Fatke, he said,
Yeah.
fruit is wet candy, and it's
Yeah.
nothing like it used to be. So, 5 servings of fruits and vegetables, another great marketing ploy. Everyone believes it, and
Yeah. And look at
they
the
don't know why
apples nowadays. They're like ginormous. An
they're
apple.
ginormous. They are very sweet. They are shelf stable. And
Hmm.
they don't satiate you because they're so sweet. Your blood sugar goes up, then
Yeah.
crashes down, and you're hungry again. So that's not great. I wanted to ask you about you said like you had a polypharmacy. That was you. Um,
Yeah.
how many pills are you on now?
Oh, I don't take any pills. Can you believe it? It's
Wow.
it's incredible. Yeah. Yeah. I
I mean,
take
you
a
listed them in the beginning.
multivitamin. Yeah.
All right. Okay. So what did your doctors say to that? They couldn't have just said you're a paradox.
Yeah.
Must have been.
Well, I gotta tell you something funny. Uh, my husband went to the doctor, my doctor, my GP at one time, and he was talking about his health problems, and he said, "Well, I know this lady that got rid of like a whole bunch of medications. I can't remember her name." Brett said, "I think you're talking about my wife." Yeah. So it ended up he was talking about me there. So, but
He should have
still,
your picture on the wall.
yeah.
Preferably like a before and after picture. And then the list
Yeah.
of medications and then an empty list on next to it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah,
just
I wish
incredible.
there's not a whole lot of low carb docs in this area. So I'm really thankful to have Dr. Tro, Dr. Berry, Dr. Linsky's that they can see people virtually, you know?
Yeah.
Dr.
I don't
Hampton.
think Dr. Berry sees people virtually in a
Oh,
sense of it being their
yeah.
doctor, but he does his lives in the community. So he does YouTube lives where people can type
Yeah.
questions into the chat, or he does Zoom lives every week.
Yeah.
It's actually going on right now.
They're so good.
Yeah, and you
I
can just
yeah.
go ask questions and talk to him, and every week he takes, I don't know, the first 8 or 9 questions. And yeah, it's not a patient-doctor relationship, but they
Yeah.
get better. It's
I
amazing.
like the Monday nights with him and Nisha. I usually try to tune in there a little bit
Yeah,
too.
but there's like 4,000 people watching
I
and the
know. Yeah.
chat box, and then he asks where do you all come from, and the chat just flies by. As a
Yeah.
moderator, it's hard to do anything about that, but yeah.
Yeah, she did say that you guys were all moderate, you ought to moderate for them, the health coaches in the PhD community. Yeah,
Yeah,
on the
that's a
call.
lot of
And
fun because there's the odd troll, um, and we sort that out, or we also
yeah,
answer questions. So that's great. I was wondering, how do you get through holidays?
through holidays. Holidays are easy now because my family knows that I've healed myself from so many things. And my sister will even call and say, okay, we're going to have this. And I went to, Trader Joe's and got this, sugar-free sauce for this. And I bring, I always make sure that I bring a protein and maybe some deviled eggs, um, a veggie tray. Holidays are easy for me now. I used to feel like feelings of deprivation and stuff like that, but I don't anymore because, if I go into a setting where I know that it might be difficult, I eat before I go. I eat before I go. Fill myself up with a nice, tasty keto meal before I go. And then I can still fellowship with everyone. I
Yep.
can still bring my seltzer water with lemon or whatever. And chances are there's going to be something that I can eat there too.
It's funny how
Um,
people think if you don't share in with a meal, that's antisocial. But an
yeah.
alcoholic who doesn't share a drink, everyone's fine with that.
Yeah. Isn't it something? Yeah. It is real food. I mean, you have to eat to live.
You can't just stop eating food. I mean, you can for a
Yeah.
while, but it's not a good
Yeah.
solution long term. It's not compatible with life.
What makes it the hardest of all is because, there's euphoric recall from childhood events, going to your grandma's house,
Mm.
good memories all around food. So we have to make it different and make different low carb foods. But I think it's fun, it's a fun, relaxing event now, to make things a different way.
Do you do
You can make
treats too?
potato salad.
Yeah.
What?
Do you do treats too, or do you just try to stay away from them?
I have trouble with them. I'm not going to tell you that I haven't because I have through the years. And, I've even brought, low carb mixes and stuff like that. But, it, I have to prepare myself when I do decide to indulge in a keto treat that I might have some hunger and cravings for 2 or 3 days after. So just prepare more meat. And that's what I grab. I might eat 3 tasty meals that next couple days, full of meat and fat because I indulged in a keto treat.
To get back
Um,
on track.
yeah, yeah, just to get back on track.
That's actually a really good trick or tip, because many people over the holidays, they think, okay, I'm going to go back on track, but they have no idea how to do that.
Yeah, because it could
And just
last years.
planning for that,
Yeah.
that's the addiction thing too. You need to plan for any event, also a relapse event. Even though like keto treats, I wouldn't really say they're a relapse event, but it could lead to
Mhm.
a real relapse if you
Oh,
are not
absolutely.
prepared.
Because your brain can light up the same, if it tastes so yummy and you just can't obsessively think about it and can't stop. It's happened.
What I kind of like is, even in those situations, when you're trying to get over these thoughts and feelings, basically, you
Mhm.
can tell yourself, I can do anything for one day.
One day. Yep.
And it's just got to be one day. And that first day, maybe it's going to suck. And the second day, maybe it's going to suck. But by the third day, you're already back in the groove. Like you can feel
Yeah.
it. And yeah, I can do that. And then you're back in the game.
I think that's really important that you can do anything for one day because I told myself that a lot in the mirror in the mornings in the beginning. Okay, you got this. What are you going to do to protect yourself in all these areas? One day or even one meal. Okay, let's start out. My first meal of the day is going to be a nice keto meal. And it just got easier. So, and
So you
I
mentioned
do need
now,
support. Community support's important, I think, to
yeah,
stay on track.
I was going to say that, community support. And you also mentioned that you now help others. What do you do?
Yeah, I'm now really excited to say that I'm on board with Dr. Tro's medical weight loss. That's pretty cool. And I take clients there.
That's amazing.
So
I know
as a
that he has
full-time
an app, and I'm gonna
Mhm.
put the link to the app in the show notes. Um, I kind of like his presence on Twitter, even though like in real life
Yeah,
he's much kinder and much nicer. He's actually a genuinely nice guy. But
yeah.
on Twitter, he's a little more abrasive, especially with people that don't agree with him. So I enjoy
He's
that.
so smart. He's so smart.
Yes. I mean, when you look at his before and after picture, it's amazing what he achieved.
Oh yeah. And
See
almost
so many stories.
like Brian and Vic and Amy, they're all the health coaches. They've all have extraordinary weight loss stories. So they've all been through it, which I
Amy's
think makes
before and after picture, like how many
it's
pounds did she lose?
incredible. I
That's
I was it
half a
over
person or
200
so.
or so, yeah, it's incredible. She's a very, very nice person and awesome coach. I feel very privileged um and honored to be part of their community. Yeah.
I want to
It's been a
mention because I
learning curve.
didn't mention that the other day. Joe and Brian actually gave me my first break online. They invited me to their podcast. I have no
Oh,
idea how they discovered me, but that was an awesome experience. So that's
yeah, they're fun together, aren't they? I love the Low Carb MD
yes,
podcast. Yeah.
it's informative. You learn a lot.
Yeah.
So
And less
I'm gonna
stress
link that
medicine too.
podcast too. Also,
Yeah.
also the one that I was on. And yeah, so we covered the holidays. What would you say would be your inspirational quote?
Well, I probably, I mean,
Oh, you have a few. You can say more than one.
well, you change your food and change your life. I say that all the time. If you change your food, you can change your life. And I love Georgia's quote, the most powerful way to change brain chemistry is through food because it's where the brain chemicals come from. It's so true. But keep going. Never stop. If you mess up, don't look back. Don't look back. It doesn't matter. Just get back on your very next meal. Don't wait another week. Don't wait a month. Your very next meal. Make the choice
And ask
because
for
you have
help.
a choice. Yeah. And ask for help, right? Join a community. That's you got to heal your brain first with proper nutrition. I think it's really important to heal your brain. Um, but community is key.
I find
Yeah.
there's a few keys like diet is a pillar of health,
Hmm.
exercise, sleep,
Sleep, sleep. Yeah.
and tribe, meaningful relationships, family, friends, one-on-one talks where I can look in your eyes. I mean, it's not
Yeah.
as good on Zoom, obviously.
Yeah.
Um, and you need a tribe. Humans are built to survive in a tribe. Without a tribe, they couldn't survive in the past. So that's why we are so strongly geared towards being in a tribe.
I love it. I love the community. Yeah. I mean, it's going to get you through the hardest of times.
And you can
Sharing
talk
with
to
other people.
peers. Yeah, you can talk to
Yeah.
peers and you can say, like, this happened to me. Or you can read about someone saying, this happened to me. And then you say, oh, well, that happened to me too. So I'm not weird. This happens. And how did they get over it? And now I can get over it.
And what you said earlier is don't be afraid to ask for help. There's no shame in asking for help ever.
Would you say
Yeah.
you asked for help a lot? Like,
Yeah.
especially in the beginning of your journey?
I asked for a lot of help. And joining the low carb community was very helpful because everybody's so kind. Everybody's so everybody's so willing to help.
They are
I've
willing
never
to
been in
help
a
because they
community
went
like
through
it.
the same thing. And I know this is like one of the things I love most about the conferences. Everyone's in a good
Mhm.
mood. It's
Yeah.
almost like, yeah, it
It's like
is. It
family.
is like family. Yes.
Yeah. And all the people that we meet are like family. And some are very special, like you.
Likewise.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what I also find interesting at these conferences when you see the influencers, like, you know,
Yeah.
um, the big names, they're just as nice and kind as everyone else. Like there's no special status that they have. I mean, some
The
might have it.
first low carb conference I went to, the first big person I saw was Dr. Barry, and he was
Mhm.
so approachable. And I went up and he took a snap. He took a selfie with me and everything. And I was like, this is going to be a cool event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember going to these events and when you meet people like Dominic D'Agostino, like he's really big,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
Sean
He's
Baker,
tall. Yeah. Yeah.
they
Oh
are
God,
tall.
he's really big.
Gary Taubes, Nina Teicholz, all these
Oh yeah.
people, like they're amazing. So yeah, I love going there. And the
Me
next
too.
event you're going to is?
In Burns, Tennessee, low carb for better health with Amanda Decker with you.
And what are we going to do there?
We are going to talk about addiction and our stories, and it's
Oh,
going
who
to be great.
knew?
You knew. It's going to be great. I can't wait. There's so
Yeah,
many
this is.
awesome people going to be there.
I'll
What,
put
Dr.
that link in
Gary?
the description too. I think there's still tickets available, are there?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's a few left. Yeah.
And they
Chris
said if
Palmer,
they,
Amy
oh,
Berger,
Chris Palmer, Marco Coachella, yeah.
going to be
They
there.
said if
Yeah.
they sold out, they're going to donate how much to the American Diabetes
Oh, it
Society?
was a lot.
So
I
I'm
can't
just going to
remember, but it's a
explain. So
lot.
the ADA, the American Diabetes Association, is giving
Mm-hmm.
out really bad advice. And it's
Yes.
frustrating to see all
The
it's
recipe.
even in a salad, they'll put sugar, cane sugar, pure sugar on a salad. They put sugar in everything. And then they have their proud sponsors like Davida. And
Yeah. That's
it's
the kind of stuff that
scary,
made me sick. That's the kind of stuff that made me sick.
right? So because they are not changing their ways and they know about the benefits of a low carb diet, they know about the
Yeah.
benefits of a ketogenic diet. It's not that they're even putting it on their side, but it's very hidden, the information. So
Yeah.
they are
Yeah.
not getting the job done. And I don't feel like anyone ever said, you're going to be in charge of diabetics. So Dr. Berry and Amanda,
Tony
Dr.
Hampton?
Berry,
I
Tony Hampton, I think
can't remember
Eric
who's.
Westman,
Yeah. Yeah. Eric
Michelle
Westman.
Hearn, and
Yeah. I saw
not sure
Temple
about the
on
other
there
ones.
too. Yeah.
They are founding members of the American Diabetes Society ads, and they
Okay.
just actually reached their goal of $100,000 on
Oh, I
GoFundMe.
donated. I donated.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
it makes me really excited to be part of that and
Yeah.
to see that grow, and
Hmm.
they will actually get people better. Their advice will actually get people better and not
It's awesome.
worse. They're not
Oh,
taking money from corporations.
I also forgot about a couple other people. I hate to not mention all the speakers that were going to be there. Mark Cucuzzella's going to be there too, and
Mhm.
someone I'm not familiar with, Zane Griggs.
Yeah, I think
Um,
he wrote a book with Dr. Berry.
yeah. Oh, the 50
Yeah,
men
exactly.
for
Yeah.
men over 50. Yes. Okay, great. Great. Yeah. Yeah. So everybody, I hope everybody donates to that organization because
Amy Berger's going to be there too. Did you mention her?
yeah, yeah, Amy, she's
Those are
awesome.
all people who I'm looking
Yeah.
up to. So this is going to be
Yeah.
amazing. And now us being speakers there.
Yeah, and Amanda Decker, who's putting on the whole thing. She's gonna
Yes.
talk to, yeah. Uh,
So it's a 2-day
yeah.
event.
Hmm.
It's in a nice setting.
Yeah. I hope to see a lot of people there,
Oh, yeah.
but
So
especially you.
yeah. So if they sell
Yeah.
out, if they sell all the tickets, I think they're gonna give $1,000 to the American Diabetes Society.
Awesome. Well, we need to make sure they sell out.
Yes, yes. I'm gonna post this video everywhere.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I can't thank you enough for inviting me because this was really fun.
It was. All right.
Yeah.
So, I'm going to see everyone in the community, in my Facebook group, on Twitter, in the private Dr. Berry community, in the Dr. Tro community, and on social media, and hopefully at the Amanda Decker event, Low Carb for Better Health. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Bye.
Bye.